Kevin and Mike are here to give you great news.
Nice. Hey, and welcome to another episode of Great News with Kevin Ryder and Mike Catherwood.
Yeah, baby. Nothing but positive, uplifting stories.
Nothing but positive. And if you like it, subscribe or, tell people about it, your friends.
And we certainly appreciate all the positive news stories that you guys send us. In fact, Kevin, later on, I'm going to tell you about a story that I did, that someone heard, and then tacked on some more great news.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's all a big chain of love.
Fantastic.
Intro! The show's about to begin, bro! Say hello to the happy, goodbye to the blues, cause Kevin and Mike are here to give you great news!
Now, normally we do 6 stories. I pick 3, Mike picks 3. But
Yes.
today we have a special episode. 62-year-old Joseph Valdez. Am I saying your name right, Joseph?
Yes.
Valdez is joining us, and we want to talk to him about his incredible journey of a life.
This is another, it's essentially like the beautiful flower of great news. We highlighted Joseph's amazing story a couple weeks back, and now we thought, hey, he's local. Let's talk to this man who has one of the most inspiring stories we've heard in a very long time. So here he is joining us on Great News, 62-year-old Joseph Valdez, who just not only became a graduate at Cal State Long Beach, but graduated on the Dean's List, ladies and gentlemen, with straight A's. Woo!
I'll tell you, I never did that. Hey, Joseph, welcome.
Good morning, my brothers.
Joseph, look, being a 62-year-old person who decided to graduate from college, that in and of itself is an amazing story. But what makes you such an inspiration to anybody who hears about you is the fact that you spent half of your life in jail and somehow then decided to transition into becoming a college graduate with stellar grades. That's unbelievably remarkable. What kind of inspired you as you were in jail to make the decision to draw the line in the sand and say, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to commit to it?
That's a good question, but let me say first and foremost, I got to say this, and I say this in all my interviews. Look, today, I don't have no animosity, I don't have no grudges, and I got no hate in my heart. I have to say that because I grew up in an era where it was ugly, and my story is that I loved doing drugs. And I loved all the street life. And I loved all the drama that went with it. That's my truth.
How did you get rid of the anger and the grudges? And I feel like it would be natural to hold on to that stuff.
Well, I don't know if you guys are aware that I'm a product of the Salvation Army. And I have to say a shout out to the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center of Anaheim. For that, I'm eternally grateful because you know what? A, they took me in when nobody else wanted me. And B, they gave me the opportunity to stay there for a year. And for lack of a better way to say it, that's where Joseph found Joseph.
Right.
And knowing that was a faith-based rehabilitation center, I hadn't been in church in 40 years before I said I went there.
Wow.
And then people gave me the life tools that I didn't have.
And Joseph, look, I am so touched by your story just based on the story alone, but also because I feel such a personal inspiration. I'm a drug addict in recovery, and I grew up here in LA, but I grew up in a relatively affluent neighborhood with a very supportive network of people around me and who were really committed to trying to help me. And it was still fucking impossible to try to get clean and stay clean. What did you have to, when you say you found Joseph, I can only imagine it must have been unbelievably difficult to try to not only get clean, but to maintain sobriety when you had all these other outside sources of struggle, of adversity, of trauma that you were dealing with? Really, what was it that you found inside yourself that kept you going?
Well, I have been abusing drugs for 43 years, 38 as a heroin addict. My thing was that I got tired and I wanted to just stop putting needles in my arm. And we know the disease of addiction is indiscriminate. It doesn't care if you're from an affluent neighborhood to the poor neighborhood. It's indiscriminate. You know, you could have the biggest resource support group there is. And if a person's going to want to use, they're going to use, you know. The Salvation Army taught me the meaning of doing soul searching, looking within myself, loving myself. They tell you that we're gonna love you till you learn how to love yourself. I didn't love myself. I didn't know how to love myself. I hated myself. I hated the reflection that I saw for many years. I hated that person, and gradually it didn't come overnight. Gradually. With the classes, the mentoring, the one-on-one, with the counseling, I learned the whole concept of loving oneself. And by the way, April 16th of next month, I'm going to have 8 years clean.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Woo! That's really great. If you don't mind going back just for a second and catching us up, what prison were you in? Why were you in there? How long were you in?
Man, I can't keep track of all that. I tell people when they see me, it wasn't I busted with you in the prison? And I go, more than likely, yeah. It goes, which one? He goes, which one do you think it was on? I go, pick one. I've been to damn near every one of them. And that's just, I never did time like 10 years or 15 years at one shot. No, it was the increments of 2, 3, 5, 3, 32 with 80, 32 with 80. What happened is that I didn't like the structure. I didn't like the rules, so I ran. And most of the violations I've been in prison 40 times.
Wow.
7 terms and 33 violations. And I ran on all of them. I never reported. I always put my tennis shoes on, and I used to tell them, "Catch me if you can."
And they did.
That's
unfortunately they did.
33 times, you know.
And how much of it was just being essentially introduced in your life to that world where the adult mentors and role models that you had, they gangbang, they use drugs. That's part of the deal. That's what you have. How much of that was what molded you to become a man who was doing that? Because it sounds like instinctively inside you weren't that person, but you just kind of fell into doing that.
Ooh, it's funny you should say. That's a good question because, you know, I tell people, your environment has a lot to do with it. And I have to emphasize, nobody put a gun to my head. Mm-hmm. Nobody twisted my arm. My mom and dad raised me up with good morals and values, right? They were hardworking parents living in a working class neighborhood that was predominantly Mexican. And the thing is, you got to remember, this is the early 60s. I was born in 1958. So the culture back then, you know, the hippies, the free love, summer of love, and everybody was taking psychedelics. Everybody was taking barbiturates. Everybody was smoking pot like there was no tomorrow. And I was seeing that as a kid all around me. And I wanted to emulate that. I wanted to hang out with my older brothers and my older cousins because I seen the women and that were hanging around with them, and I thought that was so cool that I wanted to emulate them.
At what age did you start taking drugs seriously?
Well, seriously, I'd have to say I had already experimented drinking at the age of 11. I come from a big family, and when they'd have family gatherings, once they start getting loose, there's half cans of beer lying around,
Right.
and so as a kid, I'd go, me and my cousin, we'd go sneak and go drink it, But to seriously start drinking, it was summer of my 6th grade going to the 7th grade. I had to go to work with my dad, and my dad told me that they weren't going to buy my clothes no more for school, that I had to go earn them. And that first job that I went, my dad was a cement finisher all his life, and I went as his labor, and I just shared this story. I don't know if you know familiar with the construction trade, but all the construction workers generally, at the end of the day, they all gather, and they might pound a couple at the end of the tailgate, pass a hat, somebody goes to the store and gets beer. First day, my dad went and got the beer, came back, threw everybody a beer. He threw me a soda. Okay, second day, go to work, same thing. Worked 8 hours, whatever it was, 9 hours. It was a hot summer. I remember the summer. But my uncle went. And so when he came back with the beer, he did the same thing my dad did the previous day, throwing out beers to everybody. And then he looked at me and he threw one to me. Right? And I was surprised. And I looked at my dad, and my dad, man, if looks to kill, I died 1,000 deaths. And then he's giving that same look to my uncle. My uncle, what? Then he worked a man's job, he gets a man's drink. And that was the beginning of the end, I'll tell you the truth. Because it just made it legal for me to get drunk. And then from there, I started experimenting with everything else. Barbiturates, weed. Man, all that summer after payday, come on. I'd go with guys my age, and we'd go start drinking and experimenting more. And it gradually graduated into heroin. I did my first, I snorted heroin my first time when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Now, mind you, I had already seen uncles, I already had cousins, I had childhood friends that had already overdosed and died. And so there was no way, no how I was going to stick a needle in my arm. But it was okay because I snorted it.
Right.
So that's how I justified that.
That's an unbelievably popular story. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that same story's been echoed. And you touched on something that I think is really, really important, and it's something that I've seen happen so often, not only in my own life, but with other fellows that I share experiences with in recovery. And that is, there is a real cultural aspect, and also, very honestly, like a bit of a gender thing that goes on with drug use, drinking, and also with recovery. And what I'm getting at is, I have had so many people who have been like, hey man, what can we do to support you? And if you don't want us to drink around you, that's great. All that blah, blah, blah. I've also had, extended family members and stuff that are like, dude, what?
Have a drink.
You can't have a beer. You're a grown ass man. You worked hard all day. And that, look, I'll be very honest, was a very ethnic, cultural kind of divide. Also, I've noticed, man, the guys that have the hardest time in recovery are real legitimate tough guys. Guys like you who've lived on the street, been out of jail, military, construction workers, because since we're little boys, we're told kind of walk it off. If you're having an issue, if you're having any type of problem, there's an easy way to deal with it, and it's called pretend like it doesn't exist and man up. And was that an issue for you when you were kind of coming to the realization that you had a problem? Did you feel reluctant to open up about your issues? Did you feel reluctant to try and reach out to people because you were in this culture of very masculine kind of tough guys who were taking the John Wayne ethic?
That's a good question, but in all actuality, I love getting drunk. I love getting loaded. And I never got drunk just to get I never knew what the word social drinking was. Never.
Yeah.
I always drank for effect. You know, I loved getting shit faced. Period. You know, and then when I was introduced to barbiturates, man, that was even better, man, because you just take a drop a couple of them pills and then drink a beer or two, and then you were off.
So you're
And
62 years old now, and at what point in your life did you say, I'm done with all that, I'm going to start taking classes, get an education? At what point in your life did that happen?
when I was 55 years old, 3 months short of 55 is when I went into the Salvation Army,
Wow.
and that changed my life.
And
I
when you
think,
went in,
I think
go ahead.
what's fascinating to me about that is that if you've lived 55 years a certain way, I would think it's over. That's you. That's what you're going to do. That's how you're going to live.
The first half of the book is one way. It's probably not going to be any different the second half. Yeah.
Mind you, I got 8 ODs. 3 of them were always purple.
Wow.
And when I get asked to share, I'll say, you know what? A cat ain't got shit on me. I've used a cat lives for 5 more. And that's my truth.
Yeah. But did the idea of a college education ever seem like a fairy tale to you? I mean, I would imagine, because look, I'm 42, and I'll be very honest, and I'm not in jail. The idea of me enrolling in college right now and then graduating with good grades
With honors, yeah.
it seems fucking impossible. It doesn't seem realistic. How did you?
You want me to tell you the truth?
Yeah.
This is where I told you at the beginning that I have no animosities. I got no grudges, and I got no hate in my heart. I got a loving heart today. I had good grades. You gotta think. At 62, for 2 semesters in a row, I made straight A's. I was on the president's honors list for that. Right? I made the dean's list twice because I had a 3.5 the spring semester, and I finished with a 3.67 overall for my 4 semesters at Cal State Long Beach. So at 62, do you think I had the same potential at 16, 17, and 18?
Well, to be honest, yeah, kinda. Because not only do
Okay,
you,
this is my point.
Yeah.
This is my point. I had very good grades in high school. They weren't as exceptional as they were now because of my extracurricular activities,
Sure.
even in high school. I took 3 aptitude tests for 3 counselors. The first one told me, Joseph, you got an excellent aptitude test. You could be a good mechanic. The second one told me, Joseph, you got a good aptitude test. You could be a good construction worker. And the third and final one told me, Joseph, you took a good aptitude test. You know what? You could be a good landscaper. You see the pattern?
Yeah.
Sure.
Why?
Never was I encouraged to, Joseph, you know what? You got good grades. You might be able to go to Harvard.
Right.
Or maybe you might go to Berkeley, or maybe you might go to Stanford.
Or the jobs.
was
Maybe
once-
you're going to be a lawyer. Maybe you're going to be a doctor. Things that you could reach for with your aptitude
Again,
test.
I already know what the deal was, and you know what? Again, I ain't got no animosity behind it. It was what it was, and I'm not going to sit here and get into the history of that. Because, by the way, I got a history degree when I was in a community college, and it is what it is, you know.
Right. And how much of a chore was it for you to remove that animosity? Because as Kevin pointed out, I think you have justifiable reasons to have anger,
Well,
regret,
going to
shame.
prison made me a racist.
Yeah.
You have to be a racist by choice. You have no choice. Either you hang around with your own race, or you were dealt with, you know, and that's just the way it was, you know. And I'm telling you, going to the Salvation Army let me understand all that and let go of all that. I got no animosity. I got no hate. I have to say that each and every time because I don't. You know, today I try to do things. No, I do things with a loving heart.
Right.
You know, I don't care. I'm all inclusive. I don't care if you're rainbow, if you're orange, if you're green, if you're blue, whatever. You know, I love everybody the same. You know, it's counterproductive for me anyway. For me to have all that old animosity. I'm on a bigger plane. Which, by the way, this past Friday I was accepted into the master's program at Cal State Long Beach.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
That was my next question.
When we told the story, you were still waiting to find out if you were going to be accepted.
You know what? I found religion when I was in Salvation Army, and I had a hardened heart. My heart was so hardened, and it's like I never knew what compassion was. I never knew what empathy was. I never knew what love was, and above everything else, I didn't know what responsibility and integrity was. You know, those words were never in my vocabulary. And I thank the Salvation Army for helping me understand what them words mean and how I use them today in my vocabulary. And I use them with love. Integrity is a big one.
Yeah.
I was
For
going
me,
to
you know.
ask you, could you have ever have dreamt of you being a person who doesn't have anger and isn't, you know, doesn't hold grudges and stuff like that? But you just answered that. There's no, those words you didn't understand.
You know how many scars I got? I don't know if you can see it. I've been hit with everything possible, don't matter. 2x4s, baseball bats, belly clubs, rifle butts. And that's just a life. I don't get into the things that I did because a lot of it was evil.
Mm-hmm.
And like I tell people, I share this. When I was sick and wanted to get loaded, there was no way, no how you were going to stop me. I was going to get it one way or another, and sometimes I wasn't nice about it. And that's my truth. You know, but for me, there came a time that I got sick and tired of it all. I got sick and tired of sticky needles in my arms. I got sick and tired of the prison politics. I got sick and tired of my neighborhood politics. I got sick and tired of waking up sick and wondering whom I'm going to have to beg, borrow, or steal. I got sick and tired of it all, man. I just got so sick and tired. I was done. Please help me, somebody. Help me. And I still have that.
I'm sorry, I have two more questions. One is, please tell us what it was like on the day you graduated.
They haven't had a formal graduation yet.
Oh, that's right, because of COVID.
You know, they have one plan for this end of the spring, which is like a virtual in May.
Right.
But I've already had it arranged at because they're on COVID restrictions too. The Salvation Army, Anaheim. I'm gonna do a ceremony there. I'm gonna put on my robe and we're gonna walk in there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this Friday, I forgot to tell you, I'm gonna be on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Oh, great.
Hell yeah, man. And Joseph, in closing, are you comfortable now with the man in the mirror?
That's a good one. I tell big people in recovery, you know, look, I tell people, look, it's not what you think, what this guy thinks, whoever thinks. At night, when I go to bed, when I get ready to go to bed, I go brush my teeth, man. I look at that reflection, I go, man, you know what? You're the shit.
And you honestly,
you are.
You know why?
Why?
Because for a lot of years, I used to say, you know what? You're a piece of shit.
Yeah. And Joseph, honestly, I want you to genuinely hear this. When I look at you, I see someone that I admire so greatly. It brings a tear to my eye. You're a true hero and an inspiration to everyone. And you should feel very good about yourself. And you should tell yourself you're the shit when you look in the mirror, man. And Kevin and I both are so touched that you would take the time out of your day to talk with us. And I wish you nothing but...
Can I say one last thing?
Of course,
before you guys
of course.
shut down? Look, I've been telling people, look, I didn't want the notoriety. I really didn't. I'm a simple person today, you know. but I know God does things in my life. I'm living proof of it. That He's opened so many doors and put people in my life. So if it takes my story to motivate, if it takes my story to inspire, and above everything else, if it takes my story to give somebody hope, so be it. I'm more than willing to spend whatever amount of time to put that message out.
Well,
And I'm doing this.
It gives
I'm
people
doing
all
this
of
for-
those things.
It really does.
I'm doing this for nothing. I don't expect nothing.
Right.
I don't want no money. I don't want nothing. Because if people bring on me, hey, GoFundMe, Cash App, no. I'm not doing this for no money. All my life, I took, and I took some more, not giving a damn. And today, I do everything contrary to what I used to do, and that's give with a loving heart. Because it don't mean nothing if you don't give it with a loving heart. If you're just going through the motion, just give. Don't do that, man.
Yeah.
You gotta do it with a loving heart.
Thank
And
you,
that's
Joseph.
what I do today.
I got to tell you, Joseph, you are an inspiration. And both Mike and I have spent very little time with you and love you.
Yeah,
You're
it's
amazing.
true, man. It's true.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you so much for everything, Joseph. We appreciate it.
If nobody's told you today that they love you, know that I do.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Joseph.
man.
God bless both of you guys, man.
Thank you,
you.
buddy. God bless you. That's what I'm talking about.
Wow, look at him.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Man, that's really moving.
Yes, it
Honestly.
is.
I'm so glad we got a chance to talk to that guy. We should wrap it up. What else can we do?
No, nothing.
Right? All right. Outro! You know what I'm talking about, bro. Say goodbye to the... Say hello to the happy, goodbye to the blues, because Kevin and Mike just gave you all the great news about Joseph. Kevin and Mike are here to give you great news.
Nice.